Hey, what is up people? This is Johnny and today I'm going to show you a competitive build for Ferrothorn, and it's the one that I personally use, which is pretty good, and it has a HP of 252 and as well as a attack of 252. That gives me a very boost up into those EVs, and the special defense is at 4. Now this is the one I always use, so it's a pretty good thing. So the special defense is at 4 and it does really good in battle. That's the personal preference I have, and now I'm going to show you the EVs itself in numbers because it's what I'm going to show you. Alright, so mine has the attack, I believe, of 252 and the HP of 252. That's why I have a lot of attack, and the defense is already pretty high on this Pokemon, so you shouldn't really have that much trouble on it on the defense. And the special attack is pretty high too. It's alright, it's average. And the special defense is already high as well. Got like a 4 extra points boosted up to that. And the speed is pretty high as well. No, the speed is pretty low. I kept the speed low because that's the one that kind of matters less. Also, if you have the individual IVs, the IV6, if you have all IV6, you should definitely get a boost on this Pokemon if you breed it with IVs. So that would help you a lot as well to have a stat Pokemon like this. Alright, so now for the nature of this Pokemon, it's actually a brave nature. Now brave actually raises your attack a little bit more, I believe, and it's a really good nature to have. And for as the ability, I have Iron Barbs. The abilities for this Pokemon have Iron Barbs because there are certain moves that Pokemon, when they attack you with this one, they will get damage on their Pokemon. So if you have Iron Bars, your opponent might get a little bit damage if they attack you with a certain move, which is really good because it gives that inflicting damage really helps you out in the battles. So you may want to have that as well. Alright, so now we're going to go and check out the moves that I have. Now I have Power Whip, and Power Whip is actually a pretty strong move. It has a power of 120 and an accuracy of 85. Now I know it has an accuracy of 85, but most of the time you will land a hit on your opponent. And this is pretty strong. This is a pretty strong attack for those Pokemon that you want to go ahead and full out give them a good damage. So Power Whip, I definitely recommend having it, especially on those water types. And it also works on a lot of electric types. So I like Power Whip. I definitely would not remove this move because it's one of my favorite ones. For the second move, I have Gyro Ball. Now some Pokemon may be weak against Steel, and if you run out of Power Whip, you may want to use Gyro Ball. Gyro Ball does a pretty good damage. It's dependent on the attack. If a target has a high speed, I think the user tackles the target with a high speed spin. The slower the user compared to the target, the greater the move's power. So this move will work even stronger if I believe if you have a slower speed on your Pokemon. And it really does come in useful. Yeah, I really like this move. You gotta have it if you have a Ferrothorn. It's a must-have. Now the Leech Seed is actually a really good thing to have with the Ferrothorn. Why do I say that? Because Leech Seed ends up taking a lot of the HP of your opponent. It will eventually just dominate your opponent. If you know how to use a Leech Seed, you will definitely do a pretty good job of using this Leech Seed against your opponents. And it gives you extra health as well. That's the thing that I always like about it. So I definitely recommend having it. I think it's a definitely necessity. If you don't have Leech Seed, you must have it for a Ferrothorn. Alright, for the final move that I have is Protect. Why do I have Protect? Well, Protect is actually good for stalling your opponent. So let's say you use a Leech Seed one round and then your Pokemon opponent attacks your Pokemon. You can go ahead and use Protect that round, and then you can go ahead and proceed after that Protect and use Power Whip or Gyro Ball depending on which one will do more damage against your opponent. So make sure to know which Pokemon are resistant to Grass or Steel, because one of them will do a pretty good attack against your opponent if you know how to use it. Alright, now one thing I gotta mention about Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn is a really defensive Pokemon in my opinion. Mine is really defensive and it has a really good defense. It will take almost about any hit. Now obviously if you get a fire type Pokemon into the battlefield, it will take your Ferrothorn pretty much down if you are not careful. So I don't recommend having a Ferrothorn when there's a fire type in the field. I would recommend switching it out and taking it back out when you've taken out that fire Pokemon. Now for the items, this is your personal preference. I like 2 items that I always commonly use. I use Rocky Helmet because it really does do a little extra damage on your opponent's Pokemon if you have a Rocky Helmet when they hit you with those type of moves that decide to do a lot of attack to your Pokemon. Rocky Helmet helps a lot. It increases the damage of your iron bars and it gives the Pokemon 2 damage, so that really can be helpful at times. Now the other thing that I have on my Ferrothorn that I personally like as well is Quick Claw. Why is Quick Claw important for me? Because sometimes I need the advantage of hitting my opponent first. And Quick Claw, I believe for every 2 turns, they'll give you 2 turns of first hit. Which Quick Claw, I know this Pokemon has a really slow speed, but if you're already in the red bar and you need to use Power Whip or Gyro Ball and Quick Claw just comes out of nowhere, this will become really useful against your opponent because you might be able to take down that opponent and go ahead and attack him as well. Alright, so now I'm going to show you a really good battle of Ferrothorn where I sweep my opponent. I dominated with Ferrothorn because Ferrothorn did an amazing job in the battle, so I'm going to show you the gameplay footage right now. Now we're into the gameplay footage of this battle where I use only my Ferrothorn. Believe it or not, my Ferrothorn managed to sweep out the whole team. I don't know how he did it, but Ferrothorn is definitely a good Pokemon to use. So my opponent took out Metagross, and he's going to use Meteor Mash, which isn't really going to do anything to my Ferrothorn. And I'm going to go ahead and, as you can see, the Iron Bars activated and did a little bit of damage to him. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Leech Seed because I want to set up this Leech Seed on my opponent so I can start getting a lot of HP. And Metagross, for some reason, is really affected by the Leech Seed. Alright, so after I use the Leech Seed, I believe I actually use Protect. So I'm going to go ahead and use that Protect so I can protect myself from that Pokemon from not hitting me the next round. So that actually helps me out a lot because my opponent will not be able to hit me out. And then the Leech Seed will come back to me and allow me to drain the health from my opponent. And I did that again and I'm back to 180 health. And my opponent managed to not hit me with Hammer Arm, so I decided to use Power Whip, which did a really good damage, even though Power Whip didn't do that much. But it is definitely, as you can see, Metagross is going down pretty soon with that Leech Seed and that. And after I use the Power Whip, I can use Protect again, and Protect is going to go ahead and protect my Ferrothorn. As you can see, as it's going, the Leech Seed is working. And now I get to hit my opponent next rounds. And I get Quick Claw, which is the reason why I have Quick Claw. And now I can just go ahead and take out this opponent with Power Whip with that Quick Claw. And that Quick Claw just went ahead and I took out his first Pokemon. I actually took out Metagross, which is a really strong Pokemon, out of the beginning of the battle. So that was a really good accomplishment for me right there. Now he decides to take out his Latias, which Latias is a really strong Pokemon, which I really thought he was going to take me out with that Latias, even though he Mega Evolved it. So he just tries to use Dragon Pulse, but that's not really going to do anything to my Ferrothorn. It really did a decent amount of damage, but I decided to use the Leech Seed again because I want to set it up again. I want to set up this trap to my opponent so I can go ahead and use that Leech Seed. And there we go. Leech Seed is allowing my opponent to get more HP. And then the cycle goes on again where I go ahead and use Protect on my Ferrothorn. I have Quick Claw, but for some reason I use it this time, even though Protect always automatically allows you to go first, no matter if you have a slow speed or not. So the Quick Claw right there was kind of pointless. My opponent decided to go Fly, but I still get my little Leech Seed because even if your opponent flies in the air, you'll still get that little Leech Seed bonus. So that really does help. And since I have Quick Claw again, it allowed me to move again, and I actually missed because I wish that time Quick Claw did not activate, but it did. My opponent got to use Fly, which did a decent amount of damage, but as you see, that ability of Iron Barbs on this Pokemon is doing a pretty good damage on that Latias. If I had Rocky Helmet, it would do even more. And as you can see, I'm quit sapping the health for that Pokemon. And he's going to use Side Wave, which is a pretty good attack. It did the really strong hit on my Ferrothorn, but I decided to go ahead and use another attack which will just take out the Latias. Power Whip, I believe, or was it the other one with the metal hit? I don't remember. Anyways, I used that and then managed to take it out completely. Now you know Sceptile is pretty immune to these type of attacks, especially of a grass Pokemon. Now my health is starting to decrease on yellow, and I decided to set it up for Sceptile, but unfortunately I forgot the Sceptile is not affected by Leech Seed. So I decided to use Protect on my Pokemon so I can protect myself. And what I should have done the first time was actually go ahead and use that Gyro Ball. And my opponent even used Screech, which was gonna take out my defense. So this is where Gyro Ball comes in handy when your grass attacks don't work. And it really did a good damage against that Sceptile. If it worked really well, so that was very useful right there. And Sceptile is pretty much over now. If I use another Gyro Ball, that Sceptile is going down completely, down and out. And it went down and out as I predicted. And even though Leech Seed and all of that worked, but it managed to take it out. Now here he takes out his Metacritic. I can't really pronounce it. Mancritic or Mantric. He uses Thunder Fang, which already has me on the red, but for some reason Iron Bars came to help. And since this move, I'm not really affected by Thunder moves, I decided to use that Leech Seed again because I know it's gonna help me regardless of his next attack when he attacks me. So I got the health got there, and I still have another chance to survive with Protect. So that's even gonna give me more health again by using that Protect. And he's gonna use Thunder Fang, but my Ferrothorn protected itself, so I get to get more of its health from that Mancritic, which is awesome because now I know I have a possibility of surviving this. And now I have Quick Claw, which allows me to hit my opponent, and I decided to go for Power Whip, but that time it actually missed. So the accuracy can miss because it's 85%, and it will miss every once in a while, so you got to keep trying to use it because that's the attack that's going to do. Anyways, my opponent has set up his electric field for some reason, and I'm still sapping his health, and I'm going to go ahead and use Protect. I use Protect, which I kind of regret because I could have just waited it out, but he was going to use Thunder. I think it was a good move. Yeah, I might as well use my Protect to keep taking that leech health out of my opponent. And the next move I'm actually going to do is use Power Whip. Now, as you can see, half of my blood is already back to green. So we've been progressing a lot, and I was really close to going down, which I was scared. And yes, I got Static. Now, Static really does suck. But for some reason, this Ferrothorn, it really did not get affected by the paralyzation at any point. I don't know why it didn't. It was just really odd to me. And then he took out his next Pokemon, which is Mightyena. And he's gonna go ahead and use Thunder Fang. Those attacks aren't really good because they're gonna keep hurting his Pokemon. Now, he actually flinched me, so that was a pretty good move. And I used Protect just to use it again, to stall him. And this will allow me to the battlefield from the electricity would disappear. So that was a pretty good move to use that Protect. And he's gonna use Rock Smash, which I'm very close to going down with this Pokemon. I'm fearing that he's gonna take it out. But I managed to go ahead and use that Leech Seed again, and I managed to stall him again. So good thing I used that Leech Seed. Now I can take out more of his health, and I can also go ahead and use Protect to get more health. So my Pokemon isn't going anywhere. This Ferrothorn is staying in the battle, and it's not going anywhere. And my opponent is just there trying to attack me and take me out, but it's not working. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is actually I'm going to attack him with a move, I believe. I forgot which one. If it's either, I think it's Power Whip. His Power Whip really does a good damage against these Pokemon. And boom, Mightyena is dead and gone. Now that was a really intense part, which I really thought I was going to lose. And he's down to his final Pokemon, which is Pikachu, and he's going to use Wild Charge. And Wild Charge really did a decent amount of damage, but I'm still at the verge of dying. But I still want to set up that Leech Seed from this Pokemon, and I'm definitely going to set it up because I need to get that extra HP. If I don't set up my Leech Seeds, who knows what would happen in this battle. So I keep getting the health again, and I can stall him again. I can keep stalling my opponent with that Protect. And I know Quick Claw came in again. I really didn't have to use Quick Claw because Protect was automatically there. But Quick Claw comes in handy when it comes to the battle. And my opponent used Light Screen, so I could have attacked him. I did not really predict that, but oh well. Anyways, those Leech Seeds are giving me health again. I'm slowly getting the health back. As you can see, he's gonna go ahead and use Thunder. I thought this Thunder was gonna take me out because my defense is pretty low now. Even Screech actually took out my defense, but no. I get to use the Power Whip again, and I think that actually takes out this Pikachu in one go because that's a really strong attack. And as you can see, we managed to defeat our trainer. That was a complete sweep. I hope you enjoyed this battle, and stay tuned for the next competitive build. Alright, thanks for watching.